Happy Victory Friday, Broncos country, and what a win on Thursday night it was. Sean Payton returning to New Orleans in style, 33-10, an absolute ass-kicking of a game. The Broncos were in control of this one from start to finish. And after this win, the Broncos now go into pretty much the second half of the season, 4-3, and maybe feeling like, you know what? If we were going to stand pat the trade deadline, maybe we should consider being buyers and try and improve this roster and put together a playoff run. Now, before we look at some of the potential moves the Broncos could make as an all-in effort, can we get 330 likes on today's episode? Not only for getting 33 points, but also for number 33, Javonte Williams, who had his best game in a Broncos uniform in a very, very long time. So hit that thumbs up button before we get into deep of today's episode. So let's talk about whether or not the Broncos should make a splash move, an all-in type of move. My initial reaction to this thought that I've seen tossed out there following this win is, let's ride out the next 2 weeks. I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I don't want to be a party pooper or anything like that. 4-3 is awesome. 4-3 is vastly exceeding what Vegas thought and what most of the NFL thought the Broncos would do going into this season. But just looking at the upcoming schedule here, they've got the Panthers at home week 8. And then after that, they've got a tough game against Baltimore on the road. In between the Ravens and Chiefs game is the NFL trade deadline. So my thought is, when it comes to whether or not the Broncos should make a big splash sexy move, let's see how the next 2 weeks go. Okay? If they are able to knock off the Panthers and the Ravens and go into the NFL trade deadline at, what would that be, 6-3? Okay, let's talk. If they go 1-1 over the next stretch and they're 5-4, then I think you can kind of stay pat. If you were to lose these next 2 games, hopefully not, then I think the question is answered for you. But I don't think after beating a really banged up, injury-depleted Saints team, we should make the conclusion, okay, yes, this is the time to go all in now. If we beat the Ravens, that's a different conversation. Now, Adam Schefter recently put out some trade candidates to keep an eye on that he is hearing some buzz about. It's basically the entire Carolina Panthers roster. Bryce Young, all 3 wide receivers, Treylon Burks from the Tennessee Titans, Mike Williams from the Jets. I think he's either going to be a New Orleans Saint or a Pittsburgh Steeler or an LA Charger. I could see the Steelers making a move. DeAndre Hopkins from the Titans, Darius Slayton from the Giants, Zay Jones from the Cardinals, and Za'Darius Smith from the Cleveland Browns. So a lot of wide receivers on this list here. So let's just discuss that position for a moment, because the Broncos wide receiver room is lacking a star player. I don't think you're going to find a star player at the NFL trade deadline without probably paying a little bit more than what you'd like to see. But yeah, the receiver room has not been a major contributor to this offense, but it's an offense with a rookie quarterback. I'm not expecting any of these receivers to have stupid numbers, and it's an offense that really isn't designed around getting 40 to 50 passes off a game. I mean, after week 1, the Broncos have pulled back on Nix, and week 1 was an anomaly and not in a good way here. So I'm very content with the way this season has gone so far from the receivers. Would I have liked to have seen little Jordan Humphrey win that contested catch against the Saints? Sure, yeah, of course I would. But I'm not looking to spend too big at wide receiver. I don't think a Treylon Burks, or he stinks, so get him out of your mind anyway, but a DeAndre Hopkins or a Mike Williams is going to come in here and dramatically change this team's trajectory. I think what you've got going at receiver right now is more than just adequate. I think it complements what Bo Nix and Sean Payton want to do offensively. And so, sure, bringing in a bigger name receiver from your fantasy football team might sound good on paper, but it's got to fit what the Broncos are doing offensively. Now, one name that could make some sense to me is Adam Thielen. The guy has worked with, a variety of different quarterbacks, but most recently, between Bryce Young and Andy Dalton, he has shown to be a reliable, age like a fine wine type of player. 2 years ago, 2023, over 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns, plus 100 grabs. That 103 receptions is really the thing that jumps out to me the most. There's certainly a level of confidence and assurance that Bryce Young placed in Adam Thielen during his rookie season, When he had to go to the football somewhere in a tight spot, he went to Thielen. So I'd love for Nix to kind of have that same relationship if it's with Thielen or another receiver on the Broncos. But Thielen is dealing with a hamstring injury, it is. So by the time the trade deadline rolls around, he probably should be healthy because it wasn't supposed to be, season ending or too long term. But of all the names on Schefter's list, if I really had to pick one gun to my head, I feel like Thielen could be a nice security blanket for a rookie QB again. So I'll turn it over to you guys, though. Should Denver trade for a wide receiver? Give me a yes or no in the comment section. I love to hear from all of our beautiful viewers. I'm going to say unless it's a 7th-round pick or something dirt cheap, I'll pass. I'm content to roll the rest of the way with what the Broncos currently have. Plus, I think Denver wants to continue to give their rookies, Devon Vele and Troy Franklin, an increased role in this offense and try and get something long-term out of them instead of a half-season rental from one of those free agents on the block, or one of those receivers on the block. Now, next up on the show, we have some other trade conversations to get to. This time in the AFC West, though, as a foe of ours might be leaving the division. Now, before we look at that, I do want to give a quick shout-out to our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time has an awesome feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One of my favorite features of Game Time is you can get a bird's eye view of your seat before you purchase your ticket. That way you don't show up and realize you're sitting in the worst possible spot of the ballpark right behind a big pole or something like that. So download the Game Time app today and take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Create an account once you download Game Time and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Now, I'm sure a handful of you have seen the trade rumors surrounding Raiders pass rusher Maxx Crosby. I want to just consolidate it for you guys on today and get you up to speed on everything going on with Maxx and the Raiders, because hopefully we see him go very far away from the AFC West and no longer play Denver twice a season. So we have a couple of updates on this frontier. For starters, his owner, Mark Davis, spoke to the media a little bit about what to expect for the Raiders at the trade deadline and said he ain't going anywhere. So on one hand, it doesn't look like the Raiders have any interest in moving Maxx. But I've also heard owners say or GM say things like, we didn't extend him just to trade him. And then Odell Beckham Jr. was traded from the Giants to the Browns a week later. So a lot of times people say this stuff to either drive up the price on their asset to go, we're not interested in trading this guy, so other teams have to come back with a better offer than they initially had. Maxx Crosby spoke about the trade rumors to the media earlier this week, and I thought this one part of it was very interesting. Here's what he said. I'm not here to rebuild. Bad news, you are rebuilding in Vegas, but okay. I'm here to win. You're not winning in Vegas. So I don't know whatever that means, but yeah, I'm here to win now. And wherever I'm going to be here to win. So that's all that matters to me. Wherever I'm going to be here to win. I mean, Maxx doesn't control if he gets traded or not. I mean, I'm sure the Raiders would consult him because he's that valuable to the franchise, but he can't trade himself. I ultimately think Crosby will stay in Vegas. And I know what Mark Davis said earlier this week kind of puts a little bit of an extinguisher on the trade fire. But I wonder if that part about wherever I'm going to be could blossom into, hey, I just saw Davante Adams get traded, and we've lost 2 more games since then, and now we're absolutely going nowhere into the NFL trade deadline. And I don't feel like this franchise has a good head on its shoulders because there's no plan in place for this to even get corrected anytime soon. I don't want to waste my prime here, right? I'm going into year 6, 7, 8 of my career over the next few seasons. If there is a team out there that is ready to win and is on the right path too, can you guys get a couple first and I get to go play for a contending team and everyone's happy? I don't think that's going to happen, but I don't think it's a 0% chance of happening. I also think there is some level of just humor behind the fact that Antonio Pierce beating the Chiefs may have actually secured him a job for 2024. And here we are right now, and I don't think it's going any better with Antonio Pierce driving the ship than Josh McDaniels. At least from a win-loss perspective, I know the locker room's probably a lot more intact, but at the same time, I've got guys evidently making business decisions, which would have been something you'd think happened under McDaniels, not under Antonio Pierce. So as backwards as it might sound, like winning that game might have been the worst thing for the Raiders long term. Ultimately, if we're doing a little bit of a Raiders deep dive here, I think their future, and by future I mean next 3 to 4 years, completely hinges on the 2025 NFL Draft. If they are able to secure a quarterback, we saw quickly a team like the Commanders turn it around with Jaden Daniels and the Bears with Caleb Williams. If they don't get the quarterback that they either want or that quarterback does not turn out to be a very good quarterback, they are going to spend the next couple of years in quarterback hell. Not purgatory. I mean absolute hell, where it is just bottom 3, bottom 2 quarterback in the NFL. And they will be a max 5-win team over the next 3 to 4 years. Now, one other AFC West team I just want to talk on really quickly, the Chiefs, and whether or not they are going to make a move for a wide receiver. Here's what Jeremy Fowler recently wrote. The receiver-depleted Chiefs haven't been overly aggressive on the market to this point. As was told to me, Coach Andy Reid values receivers who either have played in his system or know it well. Finding a plug-and-play situation isn't always clear-cut. That said, Kansas City will stay nimble. The Chiefs liked DeAndre Hopkins in 2023 free agency, but Tennessee isn't eager to deal him as of now, and he likes playing in Tennessee. I don't get the sense he's angling to get out of there. Carolina's Diontae Johnson would be a good fit, but his base salary is $7 million, and the Panthers do not seem eager to deal him just yet. I want to believe this is good news for Denver and the AFC West and everyone in the AFC, because I think it's better if the Chiefs don't get Diontae Johnson or DeAndre Hopkins. But then again, last year they won the Super Bowl with not a very impressive receiving core. It did feature Rashee Rice, which this will no longer feature after his season-ending knee injury. But I somewhat cautiously, because I'm sure this is going to come back to bite me in the butt, think it's good for everyone else if the Chiefs don't acquire a wide receiver. Right? Am I falling into a trap right now? Or do we all agree, like, given the option to press one of two buttons, Chiefs get DeAndre Hopkins or Chiefs don't get DeAndre Hopkins, I'm going to press the don't. And I'm not going to do it with a lot of confidence because I'm not going to put anything past the witchcraft of Mahomes and Reed at this point. But I'm going to say it's good news that the Chiefs are not aggressively looking to add a receiver. Now, if you enjoyed that Thursday night win over the Saints, drop a DEN in the comment section below. There is no better feeling than winning on Thursday night, getting a stress-free weekend where you can just watch football and not have to worry about your weekend or your whole week getting ruined because of a loss. So, type DEN in the comment section below if you are with me. I also want to give a quick shout-out to the Blue and Orange Club. Slap Yourself, I Don't Give a Buck, John E., Anthony Mastasis, Bobby Leglocks92, and Rick Callister. If you want to get added to the club, come hang out with us next Sunday for our Panthers watch party. $100 super chat, and we'll add you to the club for shout-outs all season long. I also got an email from a viewer of the channel, Danny, who was at the game, boots on the ground, giving his all for Broncos country. So, Danny, hope you enjoyed the game. Sure looks like you had a much better time than your 3 friends did. So thank you so much for watching the show. And if you ever want to get on screen, you go to a game, snap a picture, email it to me, Matthew@chatsports.com, and we can throw it on for everyone watching to see.